Good morning, everyone. We are here. It is April 22nd, and we're at our Tenant Empowerment class. Estamos aquí en la clase del empoderamiento para inquilinos del 22 de abril. And I want to just give a little report on what's happened this week. Quiero dar un reportaje de lo que ha pasado esta semana. Or actually for the last 3 weeks, por las últimas 3 semanas. In the last 3 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I started actually keeping track of what happens to each of our students. Hace 3 semanas empecé a identificar y documentar qué pasa con nuestros estudiantes. And in 3 weeks or 15 working days, we have had, actually it was only 14 working days because there was a holiday in there. We have had 15 TEP victories. En 14 días hábiles hemos tenido 15 victorias. No failures, ni siquiera una persona ha perdido. And everybody else has been continued. Los demás, el caso se ha continuado. What is important to note is that the biggest victories were for people who followed instructions, las victorias más grandes para las personas que han seguido instrucciones, but we were even able to rescue a few people who did not follow instructions. Pudimos rescatar unos cuantos que no siguieron instrucciones. And while I don't want to promote that, como no quiero promover eso, because that's very chancy, es bien riesgoso, I do want to let you know that we are there to help and we need you to step up as well. Estamos ahí para ayudar, pero también necesitamos que ustedes hagan su parte. Yesterday was a pretty typical day. Ayer un día típico, with the exception that I only actually had 5 cases on my docket. Nada más tenía 5 casos en la corte. I usually have 11 to 15. Normalmente tengo 11 a 15. But what was typical is that I had Francine there, who is a TEP student that we retained. Francine, una estudiante de TEP que abrimos su caso, but she has kept doing what she needed to do, including coming to class. She was there with a very nice notebook. Estaba ahí con un cuaderno muy bien hecho, which made it easier for me to help her because I didn't have to carry the 5 notebooks because I could count on her to bring her notebook. Yo no tuve que cargar los cuadernos para los 5 estudiantes que tenían casos. Ella ya tenía el suyo. Okay. We had Rose and David G there. Rose y David G estuvieron ahí. They did not have a case in court. No tenían caso en corte. They were there. Rose had some questions. Rose tenía preguntas. David wanted me to look at his notebook again. David quería que viera su cuaderno. And they wanted to watch court proceedings as part of their training. Querían ver los procedimientos como parte de su entrenamiento. And then we had Bowie there, who did not have an orange notebook. Bowie, que no tenía un cuaderno anaranjado. He did text his PIP at 8 o'clock to Mark and I. Nos mandó el PIP a Mark y yo. And he has watched the videos. Y sí ha visto los videos. But for whatever reason, he didn't ever approach me. No se me acercó. Not the whole morning. No toda la mañana. When we went upstairs after I finished with the cases I had downstairs, when we went upstairs to the cafeteria, I texted him, "We are in the cafeteria." Cuando fuimos a la cafetería, le texté, "Estamos en la cafetería." He never came up, nunca subió. At 4:45, this very charming young man kept looking at me and I kept looking back at him and he would look at me and I would look at him. And finally he said, "I just want to introduce myself. I'm in your class." And I'm like, "Okay, then what's going on with your case?" Se presentó conmigo, me dijo que estaba en mi clase. "Pues, ¿qué está pasando con tu caso?" "Oh, I reached an agreement." "Have you signed it?" "Ya llegué a un acuerdo." "Ya lo firmaste?" You guys know how I get when I don't look at agreements first. Ya saben cómo me pongo cuando no veo los contratos primero. I said, "I'm sorry, but I'm here. Why? How is it that I didn't get to look at it or help you negotiate? Puede ser que no me lo daste para revisar o por qué no me pediste ayuda?" So he understood that I only help the retained clients, and because he's not retained, he did not think he could approach me even though he's seen the videos. Él malentendió los videos, pensaba que nada más podía yo ayudarle si habíamos abierto su caso y sabía que no lo habíamos abierto. It is not the case. Eso no es. We are there for all of you on the day of trial. We are either helping you by text el día del juicio o les estamos ayudando por texto, but if an Eden lawyer is in your court, approach us. Si un abogado de EDN está en su corte, acérquense, introduce yourselves, preséntese, and let us help you negotiate. Déjenos ayudarles a negociar. So I got him to get a copy of the agreement from the other side. Él logró obtener una copia del acuerdo del otro lado. And I looked at it and it was a good deal. He gets to stay. He gets to pay his rent. Paga su renta. Se queda, which is what he wants. Lo que ella quiere, lo que él quiere. But all kinds of ways for them to kick him out. Muchas maneras de que lo echen if he makes a mistake. Si comete un error. So by then, the opposing counsel is like, it's a take it or leave it. You're not going to tank this deal. Lo acepta o que se mueva. No vas a arruinar este acuerdo. I managed to get them to agree that we would make some major changes. Sí, hicimos dos cambios mayores. One of them is he gets an extra 2 weeks if he can't make a payment because he's on a payment plan for a whole year. For a whole year, if he's 1 minute late, he gets locked out immediately. Por todo el año. Si está un minuto tarde con el pago, lo echan. That's why we use our forms, not their forms. Por eso usamos nuestros formularios, no los formularios de ellos. Okay? So I got them to give him a 2-week notice period where I get notice and he gets notice and he gets 2 weeks to make up the payment. Logré un cambio de que le van a dar 2 semanas. Si falta un pago, tiene 2 semanas para corregir el error. The other thing that was major was it wasn't clear that all this money satisfied the COVID debt. No estaba claro que todo este dinero satisfacía la deuda de COVID. It read as though it was, this is so we don't kick you out and you still owe the money. Estaba escrito como que todavía debes todo el dinero y todo este dinero extra es para que te dejemos quedar. So we fixed that. But there's still a lot of problems with that stipulation. It's what I call off script. It's not our wording. Esa estipulación igual tiene muchos problemas todavía. Es lo que le decimos off script. No está escrita como yo la hubiera escrito. We could have avoided that had I been involved from the beginning, or had Bowie followed the instructions in the negotiation video. If you know you want to move, I'm sorry, if you know you want to settle, si saben que ya quieren un acuerdo, you write up the agreement ahead of time. Escribes el acuerdo adelante. This experience, because this is not a bad student. Esto no es un mal estudiante. This is a student that watched the videos, came regularly, and misunderstood. And it might be a little bit of language issue. Puede ser un poquito de problema de lenguaje, pero es un buen estudiante que vino regularmente y vio todos los videos. Siri thinks I'm talking to her. So anyways, a good student. So here is, I've been thinking about changing some of our protocols to make this better for you guys. He estado pensando de cambiar uno de tus protólogos para que sea mejor para ustedes. Number 1, Eden is going to purchase notebooks with dividers and print all of the forms and put them in the notebooks. Eden va a comprar cuadernos con divisiones, imprimir todos los formularios y ponerlos en los cuadernos. We can't afford to do that for for all of you if you don't pay for them. The cost will be $30. El costo va a ser, el monto va a ser $30. If I can find the notebooks and the inserts cheaper, we'll lower the price. Si puedo encontrarlos a menos precio, bajamos el precio. If you want to buy a notebook, you will send your PIP to Mark and I in the morning. Last sentence, I would like to purchase a notebook. Si quieren comprar un cuaderno, starting on Tuesday, empezando el martes, pueden mandar un PIP, el PIP a las 8 de la mañana a Mark y yo, diciendo que quieren comprar un cuaderno. We will be doing this upstairs in the cafeteria and the 9th floor, all the way in the back. Hasta atrás en la cafetería a las 9 de la mañana. You need to also buy something like a drink so that you're a patron of the cafeteria, or they're going to quickly kick us out of there. Necesitan comprar una bebida para hacer que están consumiendo o nos van a echar rápido de ahí, okay? You can then, there will be, I'm going to ask those of you that have done a great job with your notebooks, los que han hecho buen trabajo con sus cuadernos, I'm going to ask you to volunteer to come help people put their notebooks together. Quiero que se pongan como voluntarios, la gente que ha hecho buen trabajo para ayudar a la gente a hacer sus cuadernos. There's a lot of people struggling with this. Mucha gente está teniendo problemas en seguir las instrucciones. I am going to hire an administrative assistant to be there from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Vamos a tener un asistente pagado de las 9 a las 3:30. If you want to apply for that position, send an email to careers@edn.la. Si quieren aplicar para la posición, manden un correo electrónico with your resume, careers@edn.la. Mark, can you put that in the chat? ¿Puedes poner eso en el chat? So that person is going to go to the office in the mornings, pick up a small printer, a 3-hole puncher, notebooks that are already pre-prepared. Va a recoger un imprimidor, un 3-hole puncher y los cuadernos que ya están preparados. You don't have to buy the notebook from us. You can also just come with your notebook already. Pueden venir con su cuaderno ya hecho, and we'll just review it y lo revisamos, okay? I think that will make it clearer to people that we are ready to help. It also will put you in a position of having better notebooks. Van a tener mejores cuadernos. Going back to my little report. So I'm outside talking to Bowie. Estoy hablando con Bowie, and Rose and David and Francine start helping, empiezan a ayudar. And while we're talking to Bowie, a Farsi interpreter comes up to me and says, basically, that the person he's interpreting for is about to also sign a bad deal, que they were overhearing us, que la persona por la cual él estaba interpretando estaban al punto de firmar un mal acuerdo with the same lawyer, con el mismo abogado. And so Francine, Rose, and David explained the program to that person. Le explicaron el programa. He did not sign, no firmó. And I hope he's here. Espero que esté aquí, because I think he's going to be one of our new TEP students. Va a ser uno de los nuevos estudiantes de TEP. Between now and the next time he's in court, we're going to figure out his case and what he should do. De aquí a la próxima corte, desciframos su caso. Then all of a sudden, Paul Wall, who you all hear about, a lawyer who represents a lot, he covers for other lawyers in the downtown court. Él cubre para otros abogados en la corte de downtown. The man just had too many cases that day. Tenía muchos casos ese día. He still had 3 settlements in 2 other courts, 2 acuerdos en 2 de las cortes, and he had a trial that had to start at 3:45. A las 3:45 tenía un juicio apenas listo para empezar. And he comes up to me and he says, one of your students is about to start a trial, and I did you the courtesy of asking the court to give her a chance to talk to you. Uno de tus estudiantes está al punto de empezar un nuevo juicio ahorita y le pedí a la corte la oportunidad de que ella hablara con tu. I knew there was no other TEP students there. Yo estaba casi segura que no había otros. So he told me which one she was. Me dijo quién era, and I approached her. I said, "Are you one of our students?" She did not have an orange notebook, and by the way, Bowie didn't either, or I would have approached him. Bowie tampoco tenía un cuaderno anaranjado, o yo se me hubiera acercado in the morning. So she says, "No, I'm not. I don't know what he's talking about. Who are you?" No, no soy, no sé de qué está hablando. ¿Quién eres tú? I noticed in her paperwork there was an orange flyer. Me di cuenta que había un volante anaranjado. To tell you the truth, I didn't choose the orange. I don't even like the orange. No escogí el anaranjado, ni siquiera me gusta. But it calls attention, es llamativo. So I asked her to see the flyer. Le pedí que viera el volante. And so I look at it, and it's my flyer about the program, es mi volante del programa. And I asked her, where did you get this? ¿Dónde lo conseguiste esto? Oh, this woman gave it to me last week, or a couple of weeks ago. Una señora me lo dio hace 2 semanas. It was me. I gave it to her. She just didn't recognize me. No me reconoció. And so, okay, did you go to these classes? Oh, no, I've been busy. I have a lot of stuff to do. No, he estado ocupada. I've been in San Diego. He estado en San Diego. Okay. And so part of me felt like, okay, why should I help this person that doesn't seem to care about her case? I think she's here. Creo que está aquí. But then, you know how So I took her over to where Rose and David and Francine were, and they explained the program to her. Los llevé a Rose, David y Francine para que le explicaran el programa. I started looking at her paperwork, but she didn't have her answer with her. She had a hard time finding the complaint. She didn't know what the papers were because she hasn't gone through the training. No ha ido por los entrenamientos, no sabía cuál era la queja, no tenía su respuesta. So how do I step in and do a trial with with so little information? Es imposible que yo haga un juicio con tan poca información. And I was thinking, God, Paul Wall is sometimes a nice guy. Estaba pensando que a veces sí es Turns out, no, he wasn't being a nice guy. He didn't want to get stuck in Department 93 doing a trial when he still had 3 other cases in 2 other departments out here. Él no podía empezar este juicio porque tenía 3 otros casos acá. So he wanted this case to get continued, and the way that he did it was by saying that she was my student when she was not. Él dijo eso para que el juez diera una pequeña extensión para que él no tuviera que empezar el juicio. But it did give Carla an opportunity to talk to the TEP students. They then organized her papers, organizaron sus papeles, couldn't find the answer, no podían encontrar la respuesta. We got the answer from Paul Wall, and Paul Wall nos dio la respuesta. But by the time we came back into the court, there wasn't enough time and her case got continued so we can prepare. Ya se continuó su caso para poder preparar. And in the meantime, I had my other people who were already retained, mis otras personas que ya estaban abiertas. And I have to say that we have to stop retaining people early because the level of preparation on those cases was lower than the level of preparation on Rose, David, and Francine. Los cuadernos de las personas ya abiertas no estaban igual de preparados que Rose, David, y Francine because we have too many cases and they had not brought evidence in, no habían traído la evidencia, and don't have the time to chase you for it. No tenemos el tiempo para andar correteándolos. And so it speaks volumes for this program where people are responsible for their own cases and they know they're going to be on their own, so they work harder. Están responsables por sus propios casos, saben que van a estar en corte solos, or at least you think you are, or you plan to be. So you prepare better, okay? Preparan mejor. But again, this whole 3 weeks, but especially the last 2 days, estas 3 semanas, pero especialmente los últimos días, showed me that we are making it too hard for you when we're expecting you to get your own notebooks and get your own dividers and do your own scanning, etc. La expectativa que van a hacer todo esto solos es mucho para muchos de ustedes. And I can tell when people are trying but really struggling. Puedo ver cuando están haciendo el intento, pero en realidad batallando. So we're going to make it easier for you by buying the notebooks, pre-printing the stuff. And so what you're coming to do is we're going to handwrite in the blanks. Vamos a escribir los blancos instead of trying to make it all typed and pretty. No va a tener que ser todo escrito. And we're going to start doing this on Tuesday. Vamos a empezar a hacer esto el martes. We're going to do it with volunteers initially, con puros voluntarios inicialmente. But if you want to apply for the administrative assistant in the TEP program position, send an email to careers@edn.la. Manden un correo electrónico a careers@edn.la. Administrative, the subject line, administrative position TEP program. Okay. We figured out a way to shift some money around. Must be bilingual. Eventually we'll do more languages, do it better. Eventualmente más lenguajes y yes, Courtney. The Courtney saying the judge was Courtney's notebook is better than the other side's is another example of an A student doing better than the other side. Courtney, el cuaderno de ella estaba mejor que del opuesto. But Courtney now is, I think, picking a jury on Monday. Courtney está escogiendo un jurado. We need to figure out what to do about that. You can come downtown, okay? We don't, Karen, your case is in Van Nuys. How do you get a notebook? The same way everybody else does. La misma manera que los demás. You have to come downtown. Because it's not just a question of getting a notebook. It's a question of then filling in the blanks and having a lawyer look at it. No es cuestión de nada más conseguir un abogado, un cuaderno. Hay que llenarlo, hay que completarlo y un abogado tiene que revisarlo. So I'm going to repeat it. Somebody else tell people, how do they get an appointment with me? Okay, I've got a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to answer them because they're relevant to this. Where is downtown to get the notebook? Is the downtown LA Mosque Courthouse, 111 North Hill, 9th floor, cafeteria, by appointment only. How do you get an appointment? Text your PIP to Mark and Elena. To Mark and Elena at 8 a.m. Larissa, you're not paying attention, okay? You keep posting questions instead of paying attention. I'm answering your questions and you keep posting the same question over and over. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Text your PIP to Mark and Elena at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Last sentence. I have my notebook ready, or I have the content of my notebook ready. Can I come downtown for review, or can I come downtown to purchase a notebook, assemble, and review? Okay, it has to be by appointment only. Okay, because if 50 of you show up on one day, we won't be able to handle it. Si 50, tiene que ser por cita. Alma, Shane, I asked for people not to put their pips in the chat yet. No pongan sus pips en el chat. It crowds the chat. Okay, and then I can't find them. Se pone muy ocupada el chat y no los pueden encontrar. Alma, can you please put those instructions in Spanish for me? Don't text me for an appointment earlier than 8 o'clock, not the day before, not 2 days before, not on, not at 7:59. No manden el texto a las 7:59. No lo manden un día antes, 2 días antes. I never know what I'm doing on any given day until late at night the day before, usually when we finish the TEP class. Nunca sé dónde voy a ir antes de muy tarde en la noche anterior. Things change, it's very unpredictable. Las cosas cambian, es muy impredecible. Yes, we are not allowing people to DM each other. So David P is saying that the DM is not working. We are not allowing people to DM each other. No lo estamos permitido. We had some complaints of bullying in the chat. Tuvimos quejas de que gente se sentía bullied in el chat. We also had some complaints that a volunteer was asking other tenants for money, que una voluntaria estaba pidiendo dinero to help them. And so we don't want any of that to be happening. No queremos que eso pase. So we are restricting DMing in the chat. Estamos restringiendo el DM in the chat. And I think DM is not working. Let's see, Vanessa. Okay, so I think those are all the questions regarding that part of the presentation. Esas son todas las preguntas tocante esa parte. What I do want to really express is that this program is really working. De veras está funcionando. We have lost one case of a TEP student that followed instruction. Since January of 2022, desde enero del 22, when we started doing this for people we couldn't represent, cuando empezamos a hacer esto para gente que no podemos representar, we have lost one case of someone who was following the instructions. Hemos perdido un caso de gente que estaba siguiendo instrucciones. Everything else, either win, settlement that the tenant was either happy with or at least okay with, or continuances and the case is still unresolved. Los demás o ganamos o llegamos a un acuerdo que es aceptable o bueno para el inquilino o se ha continuado el caso. So please watch the videos, vean los videos, come to the classes, vengan a las clases, listen intently and take notes, escuchen intensivamente y tomen notas, follow instructions, sigan instrucciones, okay? I am going to ask someone to put the 16 factors to consider in English and Spanish, the 17 high function tips, the 18 steps to victory into the chat, in el chat. I'm also going to put a summary of the video on the exhibit notebook in the chat. También voy a poner un sumario del video, the perfect exhibit notebook in el chat. Nobody else has it. I just finished writing it. Los demás no lo tienen. Lo acabo de hacer. Okay. Please submit your resumes to careers@edn.la. You must be bilingual if you want the position of the TEP administrative assistant. Please make donations to Eden using Zelle at info@edn.la. We cannot sustain this program without your donations. Por favor, hagan sus donaciones en edn.la. So Kevin, can you please stop recording